Hey, what it do, y'all? It's your boy E2 Blue coming back at you again, and I feel like I haven't done a video in a while. Wow. Anywho, um, you know how the off season goes. It's very iffy this off season. It's been a lot of talk about a lot of things, but nothing more than Dak Prescott. I'll be honest with you. I'm tired of talking about the whole Dak Prescott thing, because then, if you like Dak Prescott, you like him. If you don't, hey, it is what it is. You're entitled to your opinion. Me personally, you already know how I feel. He's our quarterback. I think that he will be better going forward with this new coaching staff. I think a lot of the issues with Dak Prescott actually wasn't him. You know what I mean? This coaching staff that we had with Jason Garrett, they held a lot of these guys back. Not just Dak Prescott, but Ezekiel Elliott. You see his numbers went down. Like everybody was affected by it. So I just think that with Mike McCarthy coming in with his regime, I think it's going to be a new day. Um, oh, before I finish, so I just got through cooking dinner and yeah, got the steak and broccoli and rice. Like it's about to be good. So yeah, so I was chefing it up. Mark Holmes ain't the only one that could cook, y'all. Just so you know. Anyway, so I want to talk about Byron Jones. Now, I feel like he's the X factor, the forgotten guy, the I'll be honest with you. Now, I just sat around and I was just thinking about Byron Jones, and I'm just like, you look at, what he's brought to the table or what he hasn't brought to the table. What is his value? What is the market for cornerbacks this offseason? And when you look across the league, what different teams have different cornerbacks and who will fit in what situations? Now, first, um, we got Byron Jones in 2015. In 2015 draft, he was drafted out of UConn. Drafted originally as a cornerback because that's what his original position is. That year, we had Anthony Hitchens and all those other guys. So a lot of guys, we had a lot of gaps in this team on defense at the time, and a lot of guys were playing out of position. They looked at guys with position flex and they wanted to put them to different positions. Now I'm gonna tell you guys right now that's never played football. Um, Playing DB, you know, yes, you're a defensive back, but playing cornerback is not the same as safety. Just because you're a good cornerback doesn't mean you could be a good safety and vice versa. They're two different positions. They have to cover two different ways. And I think, in my opinion, safety might be a little bit harder because, again, the whole thing of the safety is you are the last line of defense before that receiver or whoever's got the ball is going in for a touchdown. So you got a lot of field to cover with a safety. It's like you're forever a zone player, and you have to be vigilant and know where you're supposed to be at all times. Now with a cornerback, most of the time you're checking the guy, you know where you are. When that ball's in the air. Now we talked about the situation when Marinelli was here, right? Marinelli, he had Chris Richard. You had two guys that had two different philosophies, thought different ways. Um, Rob Marinelli liked this guy smaller and faster, more athletic. I get that. That works in certain schemes, but it just got old in Dallas. And I think that I'm okay with the fast, athletic guys, but you still got to have one or at least two big, fat refrigerator guys in there that are not pass rushers, that are not guys that's going head on to just eat up those blocks from those offensive linemen. So you need somebody to absorb that. Those skinnier guys cannot do that. They're lean, they're athletic, they're not taking on these big fat offensive linemen like that. They're not doing that. And nowadays in the NFL, even your offensive linemen are fit nowadays. You look at Tyron Smith and, like, not to look at a man's physique because I don't do stuff like that. But when you look at the guy, he's cut. You know what I mean? Like Tyron Smith is like he's almost like a Greek god. You know what I mean? Like when you look at him, he's like perfect. You know what I mean? Like he's not fat. He's a solid dude, and he's like 6'8", and like come on now, he's so huge that like for most of us, he uses a leg brace as an arm brace. It's just for anybody else it's a leg brace. For him, it's for the arms. It's ridiculous. But we've talked about our offensive line and things like this, but like when you look at this team as a whole, it's a lot of things that are out of place right now. So I'm gonna do a video. Um, when we get this whole free agency thing together. That's probably be my next one, and I'll go over like the different positions of need, what we need for free agency, and then we'll be talking about the draft and things like that. But as far as Byron Jones go, a lot of you guys are ready to sell him off, get rid of. Now, let me explain something. And too many times us Dallas Cowboy fans, we get in a situation where we want to just cast off a guy. Now, I'm all for casting off a guy if he doesn't fit the scheme, if he's a problem, if he's getting old, he's not what he used to be. I get that. But I went back and looked at Byron Jones ever since he first got in the league in 2015, and how he has progressed since 2015. And I look at him and I'm like, okay, so we know when he got drafted, he, set the Guinness Book of Records with his, I think the high jump or whatever. Now, he's an athlete for sure. Is he a ball hawk? More than likely not. But what I was talking about with Marinelli and Chris Richard being here, now, is it what he was taught when he got with the Dallas Cowboys to not look back at the ball when the ball is in the air? Because when I played football, even though I was a linebacker, I used to listen in on them DV conversations. And them DB conversations, I've always heard the secondaries coach always say, look back for the ball. When the ball is in the air, it's you almost are the secondary receiver. It's like you turn into a receiver. You're trying to get that ball back for your offense because, especially in the NFL, that is your number one goal as a defensive player is to get the ball back for your offense. So you got to play aggressive but play smart. Now, I guess it was Chris Richard that was telling these guys not to look back at the ball. And that's probably the reason why he's not here anymore as far as coaching. Now, I did like him for certain reasons, but again, these guys, you have to teach them to look back for that ball. It stops a lot of PI penalties, and it gets you to a point where you want to attack and get the ball, not so much as worrying about the player catching the ball. Now, you can knock the ball out of his hand, you could do different things, but either way, they're PBUs, pass breakups. We look at Byron Jones. He's had, 2-3 interceptions in his career. He doesn't have that many interceptions, but we often judge cornerbacks just off of interceptions. And again, I already said it, takeaways and getting the ball back for your offense is your ultimate goal on defense. That's fine. You can have a ball hawk in safety, but him playing the cornerback, and remember when we got him, they moved him to safety and they did different things with him, and it kind of like impeded his process of becoming a better corner. Now, I think that Byron Jones is he's a real solid corner. I went back and watched a bunch of games even before I did this video so I can basically have a topic to talk about. Now, when I look at Byron Jones, I see a guy that's very solid. Now, he may not have the interceptions, but he quarterbacks are respecting him. And then when they do to throw the ball his way, he's breaking the ball up. He's getting the ball out of receivers' hands. There's been many touchdowns I've seen that they tried to throw on him that he's knocked the ball down out of the receiver's hand in the end zone. Now, it may not be the sexy thing, but it works. Now, us Cowboy fans, we sit here and we look at Byron Jones and we're like, we get spoiled sometimes because we've had a lot of great players come through this team. So we look at it like, oh, we think that everybody's got to be a ball hawk. Now, as I made steak tonight, I will say that you can't have a steak on every plate. You cannot have a steak on every plate because, again, there is a salary cap. Now, you ain't going to sit here and tell me that there ain't a lot of teams out there that want Byron Jones right now. Look at the Eagles in our division. Matter of fact, every other team in our division wants Byron Jones right now, if you guys didn't notice. So, if the Cowboys don't re-sign him to some type of contract and he goes to one of these teams in the division and he plays better than he did here, you already know what happened. You know it was the coaching. You know it was the different situation. I'll be honest with you. I want to see Byron Jones under this new regime. I want to see him under Mike Nolan. I want to see him under these secondary coaches that we have with Mike Linguist and Al Harris. I want to see him under these guys that we have on this team now. So, now that Marinelli's gone, you got Mike Nolan in here. Let's get it. Let's get it done. And I guarantee you some of these players that we had on this team that what didn't thrive last year, I guarantee you they will thrive in this new defense with this new um with these new coaches that we have now because it's a different situation. That's just what I believe in my heart of hearts. Now, um the Eagles were trash in the secondary last year. We know that. We saw that. Matter of fact, I got All or Nothing playing right now in the living room with the Eagles. So if you watch, go back and go watch All or Nothing with the Eagles, and you'll see they're come on now. They brought Orlando Scandrick back twice, and then they cut him. Avante Maddox got injured. You know what I'm saying? Like he was out a lot of times during the season. They had a lot of injuries on that team with their linebackers, with their DBs, and they were just decimated in their secondary. But I hate giving credit to the Eagles, but I got to give credit to Doug Peterson because again, you ain't gonna sit here and tell me that coaching don't matter. The fact that they could have just laid down and gave up, but they did not. They kept it rolling, and they fought all the way to the end. And guess what? They beat us at the end, and they made it to the playoffs. Even though we beat the Redskins at the end, they still had that game over us because we lost to them that previous week. We dropped a goose egg on that. You know what I mean? Like I just you look at this team and how much talent we have. We sit here and complain so much as Cowboy fans about this player. This player sucks. Let's get him out. But do you understand these other teams out here? They would love to have a lot of these guys that we have on our roster. They would love to have them. Why? Because when we had Jason Garrett, these teams had better coaches. Now that we have Mike McCarthy and company, I think that things are going to be much different with this team. You're going to see a much different Dallas Cowboys team next year on both offense and defense. I'm sorry, let me not forget special teams because John Fossil, that was my favorite coaching hire this offseason because we were dismal on special teams. I'm talking about dead last in special teams. Thanks to Brett Maher. But now that he's gone, you got Kyle Forbath. You definitely got to bring him back. They signed another guy for futures to provide some competition. We still got Chris Jones. Are we going to keep him because he hasn't been playing well? Maybe they'll bring another kicker in, undrafted guy to bring some competition for training camp. Who knows? But that's down the line. We got plenty of time to talk about that. But as far as Byron goes, you got to go ahead and sign him. But the problem is the number but none of this can happen until Dak Prescott gets signed. Now, real quick about Dak, you guys have been asking me, what do I think that he's worth? Now, I'm not sitting here. I don't like to really talk about a grown man's money because, and what he's worth because, again, I swear to God, if on my job, if a mother tell me, oh, E2, you ain't worth that money for your job, for what you do. Man, I'm liable to kick somebody's ass. You see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I look at it like this. I think Dak has a lot of potential to be even better. You get better coaches around here, I guarantee you're gonna see a better Dak. You see what he did his rookie year, 13-3. I can put all types of money on it that they would have went farther in the playoffs his rookie year when they went 13-3 if you didn't have Jason Garrett and company because they did not make adjustments at pivotal moments in games. Jason Garrett will win you some games. I'll give him that. He'll win you some games, but when it gets down to the playoffs and the nitty grit, he just can't. He can never get over that hump, and he's just not that type of coach. He's not that good. When you're stubborn and you don't want to make changes, that's what happens. To win the Super Bowl, you got to do things that ain't nobody seen you do in the season. That's how the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017, and that's how the Patriots won damn near every year after that and before that. So it just feels like they win every year. But anyway, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. And even with the Chiefs, this past couple of weeks when they won the Super Bowl, you got to do different things. You got to switch things up. Even when you're losing in a game, you have to make adjustments. So, last thing. That's it. You got to sign Byron Jones. Now, people say that he could get 16 mil. I don't necessarily think that he's worth that much because he's not a ball hawking type of guy. But I think that because he's solid, there's other teams that are going to want him. They're going to pay him. They might pay him 16 in free agency because that's how free agency goes. You overpay for guys. But I don't think the Cowboys are going higher than 14. But nothing happens until you sign Dak. You got to get his Dak contract. I think that Dak would be worth no more than 37. I would say between 34 and 37. If you could get him 35, 36, maybe a 5-year contract, and then you put 109 mil guaranteed, because that's what he wants. He wants Carson Wentz guaranteed money. That's what you guys are misunderstanding. It ain't that he want 40 mil. He probably would sign for 33 mil, but it's the language in the contract. What are you getting each year? Are you pushing that money down the line? Are you front loading it? Are you back loading it? Are you evening out the whole contract? That's what you guys need to understand about these contracts and reason why they're not signed yet. So that's that. You get Dak signed. Maybe you can get Amari Cooper on the franchise tag or Byron Jones on the franchise tag, either or. But you got options there. They have over $77 million right now in cap space, and they could get up to 94 if they do something with Tyrone's contract and he takes less money or whatever they want to do, because there's money there. They can cut bait somewhere. They can do things. So don't think the Cowboys ain't got no money. And Stephen Jones is pretty good at the cap, and getting that money down. So guys, don't worry about that. So that's all I got for right now. Let me know what you guys think about Byron Jones. I think that they need to somehow get him back on his roster, because we still need a solid guy like him on his team, because again, you can't trust everything in the draft because it's the unknown. You got to get somebody, at least somebody in there that you know that's going to be good. I think Jeff Heath's contract is up too. They got to figure out what they're going to do at safety. You got a lot of guys' contracts up. My frat brother Kayvon Frazier, his contract is up. He's also a core special teamer and a damn good special teamer. So what are you going to do? Like I told you guys, you can't have steak on every plate. So somebody's got to get less money. But, just let me know what you guys think. It's your boy E2 Blue, always keeping it real. Peace.